Welcome back to the Slasher Siblings podcast. I'm your co-host Cicely,
I'm your host, Tatum.
and today I'm going to start out by reading last week's question because the answer is what we're doing today. So the question was, Kevin Bacon stars in what 1990 film about a group of people fighting for survival against giant worm-like monsters hungry for flesh? Answer: Tremors.
Right, one of my favorite movies, actually.
So today we're talking about Tremors. Yay! 1990, PG-13, an hour and 36 minutes long, and I got a 7.1 out of 10 on IMDb. Natives of a small, isolated town defend themselves against strange underground creatures, which are killing them one by one.
Right, so we grew up watching this movie, because this movie is great.
Yes, we did watch it a lot, and I was always really freaked out by it.
Really?
Yeah. So I was like, and I was always scared that I would be in that situation one day.
Giant underground monsters.
Yeah, I was like, what do I do if this does happen to me?
Do what they did in the movie.
That's why I watched it so much.
Practicing.
Gotta figure it out.
Yeah, so I was actually pretty excited for the day that we were going to do this movie. Because I love this movie so much. So let's just get right into it then.
This is how I met Kevin Bacon.
That is true. Me too, actually. But I like the no mess opening. Like the no mess around opening. It just goes straight into the movie. It says Tremors movie. There's no
Bam.
There's no shots of the town or shots of the desert or the cows or anything like that. It's just directly right into
Just gets right into it.
Gets right into it. I like that. It's just straight to the point. But then I love the Stampede wake up he does.
Uh-huh.
I always thought that was really funny. That it kind of gives you insight to the relationship too. That they're close enough to mess with each other.
Yeah. That always gave me anxiety.
What, the Stampede?
Yeah.
Like you're ever gonna be in a Stampede.
Yes.
But it shows just how close they are. That they are friends, and this isn't like the first time they met or anything like that. But then it kind of gives us an introduction to the main characters, you know? And it's like telling us without telling us outright, like who Val and Earl are. That they're handymen and they're doing jobs for everybody in this little town. And they want to get out of the town. They want to go and live in the big city and, you know, be normal people. But it's not exactly easy to do that. But this is also the moment that they met the grad student, Rhonda, right? Yeah, Rhonda. She becomes a main character of the movie too by the end. But they met her, and I always thought it was funny when he's like, "You will have long blonde hair, big green eyes, ass that won't quit, and legs that go all the way up." I missed one. I forgot what the other one was, but world-class breasts. That's what it was.
Yeah.
I always thought it was funny. He explains this list that he has for a woman, and then he pulls up to Rhonda, and she is not anything like that. She's not blonde. She's not tall.
She's all the opposite.
Yeah, she's all the opposite. It was really funny, just the look on his face when he pulled up and realized that that's not what she is. And it's also funny when he's like, "New grad student. It's supposed to be a girl." But then they decided to leave. They were doing a job clearing out a septic tank, and then the hose busted. And that was the last straw for them, because they were covered in somebody else's shit.
Yeah.
They're like, "Okay, we're done. We're leaving. This is it. No more." And they decided to leave. They packed up the truck, and we're getting out of there. But the one lady stopped them, saying, "Hey, I have a job. It'll only take a couple months or something," or whatever she said. And they're like, sorry, we're leaving. She's like, yeah, right. And she looks in the back, and it's completely packed. She's like, I'll throw in free beer. And they look at her, and they consider it. And they turn it down. They're driving away, and they're hooting and hollering down the road. I can't believe we said no to free beer.
Free beer! Who
It's just
says no to free beer?
Yeah. It's just the fact that, like, they were excited that they said no to free beer. Never mind the fact that they don't have money. It's just like, I don't care. We're leaving. We're getting the hell out of here. It's time.
Gotta go.
Then, as they're leaving, they find a guy up on an electricity tower. And it's Edgar Deems. They knew the guy. And they found out that he died up at the top of the Tower of Thirst, which takes several days to do. Which is a first. If you didn't know what this movie was about, I really like the mystery aspect to this movie. Because in the beginning, it's very mysterious, like what's going on. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, it's not telling you what the hell's happening. It's like, these people are dying. Like, what the hell's going on?
But why?
But why, exactly. I really, really enjoy that whole mystery factor. But then, after, finding all this out, they try to leave again, and they find out that old Fred's farm had been attacked, and they found a decapitated old Fred. I don't know what I would do in that situation.
Shit your pants?
That's probably one thing. You, walk up to this dude's house, someone you know, and you find a hat on the ground, and you pick up the hat, and his head's under it.
I would die.
Literally. I'm just trying to think of, how... I can't think, because that's just crazy to think about.
Hopefully, we're never in that situation.
I don't want to be in that situation, no. But, yeah, that's one messed up situation. And then something attacks the construction workers. So it's just left and right. Everyone's dying. And the further, the closer they get to leaving, the more and more people are dying. Which just seems almost coincidence.
Yeah.
In a way, But then, they find out about all this. They see that the construction workers got attacked. And they head back to town, because now they're blocked in. There's no other way to get out. And they're parked in the spot, and there's some sort of creature attached to their truck. I don't even know what I would do in that situation.
I would freak out as well. Yeah.
There's just this snake eel thing attached to the truck.
Shit my pants again.
Yeah, seriously. But of course, Chang had to take advantage of the situation. I'll give you $5 for it. 20, 15. always out to get a few bucks, those two. So they'll sell this creature that attacked them instead of doing the sensible thing and keeping it and taking it to
trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, that, but taking it to the government and saying, I'll give this to you for $2 million or something. You know what I mean? They could have got way more. And then the doctor and his wife, they were building their house through this whole movie out in the middle of the desert, right? And some sort of creature attacked both of them, sucked their husband in, and then took the car down. How, at this point in the movie, if you haven't seen it before, it's how fucking big is this creature that it just sucked up a whole station wagon? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just took a whole car into the ground. This thing has to be massive.
As many times as I've seen this movie, I don't think I could survive it.
I honestly don't know if I could either.
I don't think I could. I'd be first down.
Probably, because I, you know, I'd rather, you know, walk around in the desert than, you know, go pole vaulting on the rocks.
Oh,
You know what I mean? I'd never be able to think about pole vaulting because I don't know how to do that. I guess Earl didn't either, but
he figured it out.
he figured it out. But then they were both, Val and Earl got volunteered to ride into town on the horses. Which what I find funny about this scene is when they're sitting at the bar, they're like, well, who's best on a horse? And they all just slowly turn around and look at Val and Earl. And they're like, shit. And they slowly turn around and look at them. They're like, we know they're talking about us.
Uh-huh.
I always thought that part was funny because they knew exactly who they were. Like, exactly who they were talking about. And then they start going, right? Start going towards town with the horses, and some sort of creature ends up attacking the horse. Which has to be a scary thought for not only them, but the horse itself.
Oh, the poor horse.
I know. And the thing is, you don't see the other horse. The other horse runs off, but then you don't see it for the rest of the movie.
Uh-huh.
So I wonder if they caught it, or if it got away. You know what I mean?
We're just gonna say it got away.
It got away. And, but this is also the very first look at the creature. And this is the first time we see that the little snake things that grab the truck is actually its tongues that it spits out of its mouth.
Yeah.
And it's actually a very, like, disgusting looking thing. A giant worm with smaller snake worm things in its mouth. Pretty gross looking.
Yeah, I don't want to... No thanks.
No, I'm good.
No
I don't want to
thanks.
see that in real life. But they decide to run away, and they see this cement ravine. They try to jump it, but they don't make it. And the creature smacks into the wall and kills itself. Probably my favorite scene out of this whole movie, and the funniest line in the whole movie, is when he looks at it and he goes, "Fuck you!" And he starts laughing, and that's when Rhonda scares the shit out of him.
It's so funny.
That's my favorite line in this whole movie. And of course, the way Kevin Bacon delivers it is absolutely...
perfect.
Yeah, it's perfect. But this is also the moment that Rhonda tells them that there's more than likely 3 more of these worms. They have to do that 3 more times. Or figure out, you know, some other way to end up killing them, which they do. But then they're walking back to try to get the truck, and Earl accidentally falls into the hole.
Uh-huh.
And he starts screaming like his leg was taken or something. And I always thought that scene was funny because he goes, "Damn prairie dog burrow."
That's so funny.
This is the way he says it. He says it very like cowboyish.
Very hillbilly.
Very hillbilly, yeah. But this is the moment that, since they are making all that noise, that they end up getting chased by a new one. Like the second creature.
Uh-huh.
And this is also when they found out how Edgar Deems died. Was because he got up on the tower, and just like they were up on the rocks, it just waited there until it came down, or it heard other noise. But since they were so far out,
Not much they could do.
not only that, but the chance of there being other noise is like slim to none, you know. But then, the creature stayed all night long. But they had a plan to get to Rhonda's truck, which was the pole vaulting to safety. But the part about this scene I thought was hilarious. And he's like, Stay on those residual boulders. I don't think he knew what that meant. He just copied
No.
what she said.
Yeah.
Like, the look on his face kind of says that he doesn't know what residual boulders are. Huh.
Matthew. He doesn't even know what that is.
But, yeah, they finally get back to town. And they're all discussing what's going on and everything. And Chang comes up with a name for them. He's trying to think of a name because they discovered him. And, which, I mean, it makes sense. They'll end up regretting not naming them because they're going to take whoever ends up naming them is going to take credit for it.
Oh, yeah.
And, they came up with Graboids. Graboids. Which isn't a terrible name, but it's also like, that's kind of on the nose.
Yeah.
Don't you think? But, anyway, that's a good name. Graboids. But then, 2 of them start attacking the town at the same time. So that means that there's a third one somewhere out in the desert just chilling, yeah. But they start attacking the town, and they have to get up on their roofs and to, try to keep away from them. But just when they thought they were safe, one comes through the floor and takes Chang. Because the cooler bearing was going out. And, at the most inconvenient time ever, it decides to stop working properly. But this is also the moment that Rhonda ends up getting knocked out of the window.
Yeah.
In a pretty funny scene. The way she's, like, up on the shelf. And they all fall over and stuff. But we see that she's knocked out the window, and she's actually okay. She ended up getting on top of the water tower before it could get her, thankfully. But then Bert and Heather finally get back from their, I guess, patrol, finding out, like, what the hell's going on, because they still think a serial killer's out there, more so than a
serial killer, not a giant worm.
Yeah, not a giant worm or a monster in general. But they end up getting attacked in their rec room, and they end up killing it just by sheer firepower. They just shot it with enough bullets that it eventually died. Probably kill anything like that, really. You just have to get enough bullets to shoot it with.
Yeah. Seriously.
But then the Graboids are studying the buildings. They are going around to each building and kind of lifting the building up and down to see, like, I don't what do you think that they were looking for exactly?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Do you think maybe they could have been trying to knock them off the roof?
Probably.
Or maybe they were trying to see if they were still there because they were too quiet.
Smart. I think they're too smart.
Yeah.
For their own good.
They could have been, shaking the building to make them move around and walk around just to confirm that they were still on top of the roof. I'm not exactly sure. It doesn't fully explain what they were doing other than they were studying the buildings. But it shook Nestor's trailer, which shook him off the roof, which seems like one reason they were shaking everything. And he didn't get high enough, and it ended up taking him, too. So it's just one by one, just sucking people up, pretty much.
Yeah, I would be so scared if that happened.
But they had to make a new plan, because all of their trucks and tires have been popped to go through the old Jeep trail through the mountains, because they can't get through rock. Which is a good plan. But that's also why they're staying there. And they're not going somewhere else because they can't travel through the rock. The new plan is to go get the bulldozer and pull everyone to safety through the mountains. But it's funny because Earl wanted to go for the cat, which is the bulldozer. And he volunteered to go get it, but Val wanted to do it. Probably just to impress Rhonda, to be honest with you. It's probably the main reason he wanted to do it.
He wanted to be a stud.
Exactly, he wanted to be a stud. But It's also funny that he actually ends up tricking Earl into getting the cat. He pretends like he's gonna let him go, and he lost rock, paper, scissors, and he ends up elbowing him in the stomach and taking off running. I thought that scene was funny because, you know, he was all, oh yeah, like, oh, I lost. Darn, I'll have to go. It's like, no. You're not that slick. Whoever won gets the pick. But yeah, so they end up getting the bulldozer, attaching a trailer to it, and grabbing everyone. But on their way to safety, about halfway to the mountains, the worms end up digging a trap in the ground. So they're really learning fast. They're really
getting the hang of it.
Yeah. So they basically dig a giant hole that the bulldozer falls in and causes everyone to need to get out and start running. And the way, I thought it was funny that the way they got, what's his name, Melvin, to run was he gave him a gun, but as they're running, he tries to shoot the worm with the gun, and it's empty. So he gave him an empty gun, which I thought was, you know, really, really funny, because...
Yeah, that part stresses me out.
He knows that the only way to get him to run is by giving him a gun, but he obviously couldn't give him a loaded one, because, I mean, you can't give a 14-year-old a gun, not to run with, at least.
And try to shoot.
And
hope that he doesn't shoot himself.
Especially that one. That probably would have knocked him down. That's how much kick that one had. But there's some tension brewing between the group, between Bert and Val, to be specific. But after the arguments are subsided, Earl actually has a plan for killing them, which actually sounds like a pretty good plan. It's about trying to lure them. It's almost like fishing, where you lure them to a specific spot and then you just catch them, or in this case, kill them. But then his plan was to lure them into a specific spot and then to have them swallow a bomb.
Yeah, which isn't the worst idea I've ever heard.
No, it was actually a pretty good idea for the first one. The second one learned really fast that they can't do that, so it actually sucked up the bomb, ended up sending it back to them.
Yeah.
Like, spit it out back to them. And it actually blew up the rest of their bombs that they had. And Val, Earl, and Rhonda are all stuck out in the middle of the desert, where everyone else just went a couple feet away from the rock. They went way out there to get away from it. And so they end up running from running away from the worm, right? And the part that...
Oh, thank you for your input, Matthew.
Is that right?
Sorry, guys. He loves this movie, too, and he just has a lot to say. And he's also tired.
But the part that I found really funny about this is they're running away completely confused. And they're like, what are we doing? He's like, I have a goddamn plan!
I have a plan!
It's just, I love the way Kevin Bacon delivers the lines in this movie are absolutely hilarious.
They're the best.
And I have like a kind of like a secret little thing that I didn't write down yet after. It's a little fear fact, which is the fact that even though he was absolutely excellent in this movie, Kevin Bacon was actually depressed the whole time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was actually regretting that he was in the movie because he thought it was going to kill his career after being in this movie.
Oh, no, it did the opposite, right?
It absolutely did the opposite.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But his plan was to kind of use the stampede thing from earlier in the movie to kill the last one, and they ran to the edge of the cliff. He threw the bomb behind it to scare it, to shoot it right off the edge of the cliff, which, when you think about it, isn't a bad idea.
Not the worst idea.
You combine two things that worked earlier, the bomb scared it because of how sensitive its hearing is.
Uh-huh.
And it also sent straight towards you, who you knew it was food.
Yeah.
So, and it also can't fly. So
it's gonna go splat.
And then at this point in the movie, all the worms are dead. You know, Rhonda's about to leave. Val and Earl are ready to leave. Got new tires and everything. But Val ends up getting the girl finally.
There we go.
After the internal struggle that he had there for a minute. But he acted like he couldn't have got her anyway. It's like there was obvious signs to the movie that she liked you, dude. Like it wouldn't have been that hard.
Come on now.
But I really, really love this movie. I personally would give it like 8.5. 7.1 is like hilariously low for this movie.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's silly and corny.
It's a classic, though.
It's a classic, and it's silly and corny, but, like, the acting is fantastic.
Yeah.
The story is actually kind of solid.
You don't see many movies like that.
No.
You know?
And as silly as the movie is, it's still a solid story.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What would you rate it?
Like an 8.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a great movie. And you have to rent it from somewhere, wherever. Like you can rent it on Vudu or like Amazon or something.
Yeah,
but
it's like $3.
I bought it because I know I'm gonna watch it 100 more times because I love that movie. But for some fear facts here, Tremors actually technically bombed in the theaters.
Oh wow!
It actually didn't do well, but it actually tripled its box office with home video.
Wow, that's crazy.
So it became a classic by putting it on like VHS tapes and stuff, not even by the theater.
That's funny.
Which is crazy to think about.
It is, yeah.
But it ended up becoming a cult classic because of home video. The woman who played Rhonda, I'm blanking on her actress's name at the moment, but she didn't rehearse the pants scene where she took her pants off so that it would look authentic and like clumsy. And also she needed the genuine awkward look on her face for when Val says to take off her pants.
Yeah.
So that whole scene was not rehearsed by her.
Oh wow.
She did it in the moment. What we see on the screen was her actual
reaction.
Her actual reaction to it. Val is actually him missing the staple.
Yeah.
In the beginning of the movie, that wasn't entirely scripted.
Oh really?
He wasn't supposed to miss that many times.
Oh my god.
He did that on a whim.
Funny.
He just did it.
Yeah.
He missed it 8 times. He was supposed to miss it like twice and then hit it.
Wow.
But he actually went longer and did 8.
That's one of the funniest parts.
It really is. And it's like right in the first 5 minutes of the movie. But Fred Ward's reaction to it was completely real.
Really?
Like the look on his face and looking at the staple to make sure it was in and him looking at Val, that was all completely real. He was actually completely confused as to what just happened.
That's so funny.
But he continued the scene,
really good.
which is really funny. And it kind of makes that scene better. This was actually the first real film for Reba McEntire.
Oh, wow.
This is her first acting job.
That's awesome.
And I think she did phenomenal.
I think so, too.
She was actually one of the better parts of the movie.
Yeah.
And not only was her acting
memorable.
great, yeah. Not only was her acting great, but she looked like she's been handling guns for
a minute,
her whole life.
Yeah.
You know, which isn't entirely impossible because, you know, she's a country singer. I believe
she's a country gal.
I believe that she grew up on a farm, I'm pretty sure. So
probably.
It definitely looks like she's not pretending to know how guns work.
Yeah.
The way she held them, and the way she, you know, racked the gun every time she reloaded it and stuff. Like, she knew what she was doing. Bert, when he takes the gun back from, what was his name again? The kid? Milton?
Milton, something like that.
When he takes the gun back, he actually checks to make sure it was still unloaded.
Yeah.
And that's actually following, like, like actual gun rules, like gun safety rules. It's like you always check to make sure the gun's loaded when you hand it to somebody.
Yeah.
So it was kind of adding that like little bit of realism into it too.
Made it feel a little more
real.
Yeah,
more authentic. And for my final fear fact, a nice little interesting tidbit was that every time that they did rock, paper, scissors in the movie, Earl always threw scissors.
Really?
Yep.
Huh.
And Val never figured it out. Or he did figure it out, and he picked and chose when he won and when he lost to do things. But you would have thought that if he knew early in the movie, he would have purposely won the breakfast one. But he probably picks and chooses when he wins or loses. So, why don't you read the next question?
What Rolling Stones ballad is sung by the demon Azrael as he possesses bodies in the Denzel Washington film Fallen?
Alright, if you know that answer, put it on the Facebooks. If not, then too bad.
Too bad.
Too bad.
So sad.
But sis, why don't you tell them what our next movie is?
It's going to be Late Night with the Devil.
I am actually pretty excited for this one because I've been wanting to see it for a while.
Yeah, I've never seen it, so
I haven't either. So it'll be first for us too, if you guys haven't seen it. So it's a new one too, so not everyone might have watched it already.
Yeah, so
but
we're gonna watch it together.
That's right. Thank you for listening. Still.
Yep.
Still putting up with
us.
If you're here. If anyone's listening.
Yeah.
But
let us know if you're listening still.
Yeah.
Please.
Please, just so we know that people are still listening. But we will catch you next week with Late Night with the Devil.
Yeah, catch you later.